What's good, everyone? It's Fizzy here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to mix your beats. I'm going to be taking you through the steps and guides that I take when I'm mixing my own beats. So let's get into this. So I already have the beat made out. I wasn't recording. I didn't plan on recording it, but then so first off, if you're going to start EQing or mixing your beats, you need to first route everything to a channel. So as you can see here, I have everything routed to a channel. So let me go check my audio as well. So yeah, so I now route my audios to a channel. So everything's on a channel so you can see everything playing. So after you routed your channel to the mixer, you'll then begin to level everything off. And what leveling is ensuring that the volume isn't too loud or too powerful so that it's overpowering another sound. So basically what I like to do is that I begin to decrease everything down to around here, and then I listen to it. And then after I start to listen to it, I then begin to increase the volume how I see fit. So after you level off your sounds, the next thing you're going to do is then begin to EQ the main important sounds. For example, I would then begin to EQ my guitar here, for example. Basically, what you're looking for when you're trying to EQ is that you're trying to look for any harsh frequencies that might clash with another element. For example, I would probably end up removing a lot of the low end because I know I have a bass in. So what I would first do is that I'll begin to go like this, make a high pass, and then I'll then begin to take out the sounds. If you're not trained, what I would advise is that you begin to over exaggerate, for example, like this, and then begin to take it back until it blends in well. I would then also create a low pass, but not take out too much. Then you can then begin to EQ other elements. For example, I have this pad here, and I've noticed that the pad has a lot of high frequencies that I don't like. So I would actually add in a low pass. And then I'll probably begin to take down some of the bass and some of the low mids as well. Some tips and advice that I'd give you is that not everything needs to be EQ'd. So depending on the drum kit or the loop kit you're using, some of them might be mixed already and are perfect to use, and some of them might just need a slight adjustment or slight touch up depending on what you're looking for. In this case, I don't necessarily have to EQ a lot of my percussions because I like the way they sound already. This is going to bring me into the next point on what is important for mixing. You're going to need to pan your sounds. So I am going to pan some of my percussions. So I'm going to pan them left, right, so that not everything's in the middle. If everything's in the middle, it's not going to sound too muddy, or sounds are going to be clashing, and it's not going to sound as a good mix overall. So we're going to listen to some of the percussions now, and I'm going to pan them depending on how I feel. So I've now finished off panning a lot of my percussions, and now I can see that there's a bit more space. So after you've created a bit of space in your mix, you can then begin to add in effects such as a chorus, a flanger, some reverb, or some delay. So right now I'm actually going to add in a soft clipper onto my kick because the kick is not punching the way I want it to punch. So I'm actually just going to add in a soft clipper. What a soft clipper does is that it raises the overall volume without clipping or distorting the sound wave. For effects, I'm gonna add in some fruity reverb onto my piano just to give a bit more space, and this is what it's gonna sound like. Then to make my piano sound wider, I'm actually gonna use this saturation separation knob and just begin to separate it. I'll probably bring it down to 20%. Then next, I'm gonna go to the little organ that I have playing in the background. I'm just gonna add a small flanger, and you're gonna notice the difference. So another advice I'd give you is that when you're adding effects, make sure that the effects you're adding are necessary to your beat. Because if it's not, your overall mix is gonna sound, it's gonna sound off, it's gonna sound forced, and it's also not going to be appealing to the ears as well. So another thing that I'm gonna go back to is my guitar, and I'm gonna add in a subtle chorus and some flanger. So while listening back to the mix, I just noticed that my bass is actually not as powerful as I wanted to. So instead of increasing the volume, I'm just gonna add in a blood drive, and a blood drive actually begins to saturate it and add a bit more color to your bass. So I noticed that my bass was sounding a bit dry. So I decided to then add in a destructor, and this what it does is that it begins to destruct the sound wave so it sounds a bit more harmonies to it. So that's what I decided to do, and this is what it sounds like now. That's it for the mix. There's nothing else to add or to take away. So after, what I like to do is that after I finish my mix, I then begin to increase the volumes slightly, starting off from the main melody, which is the piano. So I then begin to increase it like this. So that the ratios are still intact, and then I will then move on to the mastering. So because you're the producer, you're not going to be using a lot of mastering tools. So a normal one that people like to add on is either a fruity limiter or a soft clipper. So in this case, I'm going to use a fruity limiter. I'm just going to leave it as the preset as it is, and this is what it's going to sound like. And if you think that's still a bit too low, you can then begin to add in a bit more gain. After finishing my mix, I'm then going to duplicate this over, and then ensure that it now fits into a full song. So after you finish with your mix and you're satisfied with your mix, you then click File, and then you then begin to export. And I would highly recommend you use WAV, especially if you're going to be sending them out to artists as well. So use WAV and then save them into your appropriate folder. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Peace.